Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tyria then, episode 14. We have done the thing. We are ascended.
We have.
It happened last episode. Yeah, go listen to it if you didn't. It is a crazy roller coaster of an episode.
It is.
So you guys should definitely experience the rigors of Ascension with us in episode 13. This is episode 14. We've moved past Ascension onto bigger and better things, except we kind of rolled back the clock and went back in time and finished up all the desert quests that we did not do before getting Ascended, that now it turns out, looking at them, you're probably supposed to do before you get Ascended.
But they don't become available until after you ascend.
Yeah, there's a bizarre there's
weird.
a bizarre dissonance in how these quests become available that's directly contrary to the quest dialogue, and I don't know how to feel about it.
I know.
But yeah, we did some post-ascension quest work, and that does make sense because I unlocked most of these outposts, these extra desert outposts, before Ascension, and I noticed that none of the NPCs had quests, and then I go back to them after, and they've all got quests over their heads. So yeah, this is all post-ascension stuff that it seems to have been originally written for you to be able to do whenever, and then maybe not so.
Right.
But with me, as always, is Miko. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
And there's not a whole ton to go over as far as a plot summary, but as far as the gauntlet that we ran last episode, just give us a rundown.
So last episode we ascended, and in order to get to our ascension battle versus our doppelganger in Augury Rock, we first had to complete, because since we had already completed a Loner Reach in episode 12, we did Dunes of Despair, Ascension Trial, and Thirsty River, the Ascension Trial there, and both of them were challenges for various reasons, and each of us had not a great time for various reasons, but we got through them. We ascended. We fought our fireballed weird doppelganger, which was a joke.
We fought Ghost Rider, yeah. And going through the footage while I was watching both of us do it, and I think using Troll Unguent actually made the fight take longer for you. I think you would have had him really fast if you hadn't popped it. Yeah, because that thing takes like 3 seconds to charge up.
Oh, I know, it's so annoying. And I was like, why did I bring this skill again? I don't know why. I think I listened to the wiki, and then I was like, I don't know why I listened to the wiki there.
Troll Unguent.
It didn't matter.
Is that how you pronounce that word? Unguent?
Unguent. I don't know. It's one of the two.
Unguent. Yeah, I don't know. Let's say Unguent. Yeah. I've never heard it used in any other context other than Guild Wars. So yeah, I don't really know what an unguent is. Yeah. I think it's like a paste, like a salve.
A soft, greasy, or viscous substance used as an ointment or for lubrication.
Okay, gotcha.
Used on wounds. Yes.
On wounds. I thought you said moons, and I was like, is this a Star Wars podcast? Did I not realize? Anyway, yeah, unguent. Not sure where that word comes from, but it's in the game, and it hampered Miko during her fight with Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. So now and at the end of that mission, we spawn into an outpost called Dragon's Lair. Yes. And there's very little, and by very little I mean no context for the name of this outpost. And there's like little crystal coral bushes everywhere.
Yep.
Everything's very like purpley blue.
Yep.
And there's like some dragon statues.
Yep.
And there's a bizarre portal that's labeled Tomb of the Primeval Kings. I didn't go through this portal yet.
I did not either.
Yeah, because I'm obviously a Guild Wars franchise mainstay player, so I know what this portal is, but we won't need it until way later. So we're going to skip it for now. But there is a podium guy, but before we talk to Mr. Podium Man for Dragon's Lair, we're going to go do all the quests that Becoming Ascended unlocks in the desert.
Yep.
And where did you go for? What order did you do these in? Like, where did you go first?
So I did the profession paths first for the secondary professions, and then I went and did Belated Betrothal, and then the Forgotten Ones, and then I did Misplaced Sword last.
That's so I did the Forgotten Ones and that quest chain first because I wanted the attributes. And actually, guys, I did the mission first because I wanted the Droknar's Forge armor. And then I went and captured an elite skill later in the game. And then I came back and did all these quests. But for the sake of the podcast, we're going to talk about Forgotten Ones and Forgotten Wisdom. I think that's like kind of the meatiest quest chain that we did.
Yes.
Did you change your second profession from doing any of these second profession quests?
Not yet. I'm kind of wondering if I will or not. But for now, I have not.
Yeah, last episode I mentioned maybe going monk. That was before I captured the Earthshaker elite skill, which means I can eliminate one of my attack skills from my bar because I no longer need to chain to create knockdowns. And that gave me some room to add Antidote Signet, which is handy. Which is an awesome skill.
Yes. And
I do recognize that both Miko and some of our commenters recommended I take it. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. You guys were right. This is an excellent skill. So I think I'm going to be staying Ranger to have the pet and have Antidote Signet as a kind of a way for me to self-support.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very good for warriors, actually, because it cleanses blindness. And blindness has been a huge issue for me going through the game. So I used it. You'll see me use it in the footage. It's great. So that's one of the things that that is kind of keeping me in the ranger path. There's a quest for each profession, but you can only do it if you're not at profession, right? So since I'm a warrior ranger, I could not do the warrior one or the ranger one, and then Miko would have not been able to do the ranger one or the elementalist one. I did do the elementalist one, and I imagine you did do the warrior one.
I did.
Yes, and they're all called the Blank's Path. So, the Mesmer's Path, right? The Warrior's Path, whatever. Before those, I did the Forgotten Ones. You can pick this up in Destiny's Gorge. This is part of a 2-quest chain. Did you grab this?
I did.
It's from an NPC named Anel Phipps. And she says she was one of the Elonians, but her name is Anel Phipps, which is the most Ascalonian-ass name I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's straight out of Pre-Searing, how she's dressed.
Yeah.
They didn't have, so like when we go to Elona, we're going to see that Elonians like have a distinct culture, right? And they dress a certain way. They didn't know all that when they made this game, so all the Elonians just dress like models that already exist in the game. But yeah, Anel Phipps, that's I don't give a shit. That's an Ascalonian name. And she tells us that she's sitting around in Destiny's Gorge. She's a ghost. There's not really any real people. There's like a handful of real people, but like mainly just in Amnoon Oasis. Everyone else is a ghost. And she says that when her people got to the desert, they, quote, immediately waged war upon the Forgotten.
I know, yeah.
And she says they thought that they were mindless beasts. Big colonizer energy here.
Yes, absolutely.
Like big John Smith vibes coming off of the Elonians and Tyria. She's throwing Tyria under the bus here a little bit, but it's kind of... I doubt that that's the whole story, though, because what happened to us when we first came to the desert? The Forgotten immediately started waging war on us, okay?
Yeah.
They were hostile right off the bat. Like, I've not encountered a friendly Forgotten until this episode.
Yep.
The podium guy in Dragon's Lair is a friendly Forgotten, and the 2 NPCs we're going to meet in this quest chain are friendly Forgottens. Other than that, they're all overtly hostile from the get-go. So, I don't know who is at fault there for the Elonians' original clash with the Forgotten. But Anel says she conversed with a Forgotten one day and was amazed because they're not mindless beasts. They're like intelligent beings. And they like struck up a friendship, and they were, she would go out and see this Saras Yassith guy. And she says we should go find out what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he shared, like, quote, secrets with her, but it was too late for her people, and they were already doomed to fail on their path of ascension. So it seems like this guy knew that there was a little more to ascension than maybe lets on. So she wants us to go have a chat with him. Were you able to find Saris Yaseth?
Eventually, yes. What I like about this quest is that when you're running out, you see a big, those statues that we keep finding, sticking up out of the sand dunes.
And that are just like casually hanging out in Hero's Audience.
Yeah, and you just see like a hand, a part of an arm, and the head. Occasionally you'll find a leg. But here while you're running up to is it to Saris Yaseth or the other guy?
So the first quest, the Forgotten Ones,
Silas,
you go and find Saris, and he's in Prophet's Path, I want to say.
That's right. Yes.
And he's just like...
Skyward Reach.
Skyward Reach, that's the one.
Right.
Yep. And he's just like, yeah, the Forgotten are pretty cool. We're the oldest race in Tyria, no big deal. So that's kind of interesting that they're supposedly like one of the, like, quote, elder races.
Yes.
And he says they once, quote, ruled the world.
Yeah.
Now they guard the secrets of Ascension. And he says if we want to know more, we need to go find Silas Yaseth, his, like,
broodmate,
twin brother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to go all the way down to an area we haven't been here yet, called the Arid Sea.
Arid Sea, yes.
Which is just a big old sand dune cliff mesa place.
Yeah.
And that's where we find the statue.
And that's where we find the statue, yes. I was mixing up those two parts of the quest.
And when you popped through the portal to Arid Sea, did you find the bleached bones?
I did.
Yeah, they pretty much just say that a guy got eaten by a sandworm.
Yeah.
The first one I found in the salt flats where the guy, like, they had to eat this dude's leg, that was way more interesting.
I did find that one as well while I was running around for this episode.
Yeah, because we had to do a quest in the salt flats. I hate the salt flats. I think it's my least favorite desert area.
Yeah.
But yeah, this bleach bone's not as interesting. Just sandworm eats guy, and it's scary.
Yeah. It wasn't until I was doing the Forgotten Wisdom that I remembered that I remembered running this quest previously, because I remembered once I saw the statue in the distance, you could see it and it's standing up. And you see kind of like the shadow of it or the silhouette of it. And I remembered my initial feelings, which were not dissimilar to this time, going, oh, look at that, it's standing up. And of course, as you get closer to it, it falls over.
Yeah, because it's absolutely gargantuan, right? You see it in the distance on the skyline, and it's got to be like over 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it's got like a big chunk missing out of its legs, so you can kind of buy that it fell over.
Yeah.
And as you get closer, it disappears, and then you find that, it's laying flat now, and it serves as a bridge to access this otherwise inaccessible little island.
Right. It conveniently becomes a bridge for you.
Yes. And as you approach the bridge, there's a dude there.
There is.
And his name is Yanel Brun, and I have in parentheses Ascalon ass name after that in my notes. There's a lot of the Elonians. I don't know if they colonized Ascalon, but
well, I also wondered if these were, how we had to save in was it Thirsty River, we had to try and save the king, King Kimar last time, and we found out he was the Marganite king. So I started wondering if some of these NPCs were Marganite ghosts.
Well, because, all they say is that their people came to ascend, so they could be either Marganites or Elonians.
Or Elonians, yeah.
King Kamar seems to have, like, a more exotic name, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas Yanel Brun sounds like he runs a farm in Lakeside County. But yeah, he basically reiterates that his people came to ascend and they fought amongst themselves until they created weapons of mass destruction that brought their, quote, great city down. That's what makes me think he's probably Elonian, is that he mentions having a great city, and we learned last episode in Dunes of Despair that the Elonians are responsible for most of the more modern architecture throughout the desert. But yeah, he doesn't go into detail on what these, like, weapons were that they created, but he like insinuates that there was like a nuclear war.
Yeah.
Like a fantasy version of that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, super interesting dialogue from Mr. Yanelbrunn, just standing by a bridge. We both wikied him to make sure he doesn't have a quest. He does not.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's funny because I thought I remembered that he did. That he was involved with a quest, but nope.
Yeah, and I seem to remember there being some sort of quest, and it might be hidden, and I might just not know how to find it, regarding, like, looking a little more into what sort of crazy weapons these cultures unlocked that they destroyed each other with.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to remember watching a Let's Play series from Mr. Wooden Potatoes. Where he really dived into this in the Crystal Desert section of that playthrough. I would have to go back and find it, but I think there's more to it that we didn't end up uncovering. But it kind of what Yanel has to say kind of ties into what was that first mission we did? Alona Reach a little bit more, because that was the mission where the ritual priests were kind of like, yeah, we killed each other. Like, we fought amongst ourselves and we destroyed each other. So Yanel lends a little bit more information into that. And then across the bridge is where we find Silas. Old Jones. Sorry. Yes. Silas. He's hanging out across the bridge. What did he have to say?
So Silas Yathis says, I sense that you were going to come to meet me. He tells you that they were the first to rule Tyria, and that it was during their reign that humans came upon the earth, and that they could not compete with the savage nature of humans, and I guess the barbaric warring tendencies of them, and they were slowly driven into the desert, and that's where they met the great crystal dragon Glint, which is the first time we hear that name in the quest.
It's the first time we hear the name. It's the first time we hear her referred to as a crystal dragon. Guys, the mission is called Dragon's Lair. So hint. But yeah, he mentions that. I do think it's funny that he's like, dude, humans came and we just could not handle it.
Yeah.
Which ties up with what the original quest giver, what was her name? Anel Phipps. What she says about, like, yeah, we just started killing them immediately.
Yeah.
So that kind of checks out. And then he says that he senses a, quote, deep goodness within me, which I don't know if that necessarily applies to Aaron. I don't think Aaron is, like, mentally developed enough to have, like, understand morality, right? He just hits things, and then people talk to him and they tell him to go places, and he goes to new places and hits more things. And this is just how he makes his way through the world.
Right.
It's working for him so far. And he says he can help us unlock our inner potential, and he gives us 15 attribute points.
Yes.
Which is really cool. I like more attribute points.
Yeah. I
was able to raise my strength 1 point.
Nice.
What are your attributes looking like right now? Like, what's your spread?
I think I've got a lot in marksmanship and expertise, probably sitting around 10 or 11 each. And then I've got a couple of points in fire, magic, and some in beast mastery.
Now, I think
and a couple in wilderness survival, but most of mine are in expertise and marksmanship.
Okay, so you've got, like, quite a bit going on with your attributes. I have 14 hammer mastery and 13 strength.
Nice.
That's what's going on with Aaron's attributes. We're going to be doing another attribute quest next episode, and we're going to get the final 15. And then we're going to kind of have completed characters as far as progression goes. Regarding the rest of the quests in the game, there's a few profession path quests, 6 total.
Yes.
And then there is a few, like, miscellaneous quests that I don't really understand why they're there. Now, as far as any of the profession paths, did you do any of them, all of them?
I did all of them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And just to unlock the ability to switch if I wanted to, and also to, keep getting more experience. Those skill points are helpful nowadays.
Yeah. So do you know like what order you did them in, or should we just like go down the list?
You can go down whatever list. I know what order I went in. I believe.
I do not remember what order I did these in.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, I had started my notes before I actually started them, and then I was jumping around. So, yep. We can just go whatever.
Yeah, the first one I picked up was the Mesmer's Path.
Okay.
This is from a guy named Miscellaneous.
Yes.
So not a lot of consistency with the names.
No.
Because this guy just has like a generic fantasy name. This is no Anel Phipps, right?
No.
This guy has not authored a cookbook for common Tyrian recipes in the family home. He says we must learn to steady our mind by slaying 3 Tempest Drakes. I don't know how that lines up. But apparently being able to focus during the battle will demonstrate the quote temperament needed for being a mesmer.
Right. Because you have to play mind games as a mesmer, right? You have to be able to create illusions with some of the hexes that you fling out at people.
You gotta focus, bro.
That's right.
Just focus. It's easy.
Yeah.
Just kill 3 Tempest Drakes.
That's right.
So this takes place in the explorable area Diviner's Ascent. We haven't gone here much. We ran through here to get to Alona Reach, and I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Diviner's Ascent is more flat than the Salt Flats. It's like this should have been the Salt Flats because it's an actual salt flat.
Yeah.
How good or bad of a time did you have with the Tempest Drakes?
I think I did okay. I was doing all right until I got to the Arid Sea. I was actually just rolling with Alicia on her level 17 build for a lot of my playthrough. And then when I started going out to do the Forgotten ones, she started to suffer, and I got really pissed off. So I warped into an outpost, ditched somebody, and brought in Lena just so that Alicia wouldn't die, because I was tired of having to try to save her.
Yeah, I took Lena for all of these because my experience so far has been that in explorable areas, taking Lena is very safe because nothing is timed. So you can take as long in fights as you want. And I don't care if the fight takes a little longer as long as we don't wipe. It was nice having the extra DPS until Alicia just kept dying. And I found it very funny that when Alicia would die, Lena would still be up because she could, cast protection prayers. Yeah, I find you would never want to take Lena as your only monk, but she's a great complement to Alicia. She'll cast shielding hands on me. I moused over the shielding hands effect. It reduces damage by 13, which doesn't seem like much, but it basically makes auto attacks do 0 damage to you. Right. So I quite like having Lena along. She's got Reversal of Fortune, which is when you take damage, you heal instead. It's a 2-second recharge, super spammable skill. It's a really nice skill. Yeah. So Lena's got some healing potential as well, based through that. And then her level 20 version gets Shield of Regeneration, which is just healing breeze with also you get extra armor. Which is pretty, as far as prophecies skills go, it's not bad. Are there better protection prayer skills? Yes, but not in prophecies, really. Right. Guys, if you know better protection prayer skills than Shield of Regeneration, please put them in the comments. I don't really know anything about protection prayers. I'm a healing guy. So please educate me. But yeah, Lena and Alicia, good team, slow DPS, but survivable. Yeah. And I didn't have too bad of a time with these 3 Tempest Drakes. They are level 25 each. Yeah, they're not that bad. We're getting up there in terms of enemy levels. Some of the Hydra bosses in the open world are level 26. Yes. These Tempest Drakes are level 25 because of the standard Sand Drakes are level 21. And then there's a few other level 24-ish bosses. Some of the bosses in the mission are level 26. And there's even a level 30 enemy that we have to fight in this episode. Well, we don't have to, but we choose to. And we'll talk about that at the end. So yeah, I was able to take down the Tempest Drakes. Not too bad.
Yeah. Did you... Go ahead.
No, I think we're about to ask each other the same questions. So you go first.
I was going to ask you if you ran into any cool bosses with cool boss names.
I have one that's very good. He's
in this
very...
mission, in this
Not
quest?
here, no. Actually, while doing the Elementalist path. Who did you run into?
I ran into a Ranger Hydra boss called Brawl Amigo Hinga.
Okay. So I did run into one of the Warrior Hydra bosses, and so all the Hydra bosses in the whole game are named like this, like three nonsense words.
Oh, I know. It's great.
Yeah, the one I ran into was like glom lol plaw or something. Right. Yeah, just complete gibber speak. My favorite boss that I ran into was while I was doing the Elementalist path in Prophet's Path. Mm-hmm. And it was a Minotaur, and his name was Koodle Sizzlehorn.
Yes, I ran into him too. I laughed so hard.
Yeah, Koodle Sizzlehorn is my man.
Yeah, it was great.
And then, did you do the Monk's Path on the same run as the Mesmer's Path, since they're both in Diviner's Ascent?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so the Monk's Path, given to us by Neu Suan. I believe this is one of those names that's the same backwards or forwards.
Yeah, yes, I guess now Swan. Yeah, that's how I'd have done it. But yeah, it is. It's one of those palindrome kind of names.
Yeah, that's the word that I didn't remember that you did. So I appreciate that. And then, so yeah, we get the Monk's Path from a guy named Race Car. And according to him, according to him, all monks are objectively good, and there's no swaying him on this opinion.
Yeah.
This is objectively not true, right? Because we've run across several bad guy monks in the game. We've killed some White Mantle monk bosses the White Mantle is pretty overtly evil, right? And we're even going to come across some like evil demon monk bosses in Nightfall. So no, monks are not overtly good. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but we're going to do a quest for him anyway, so that we can unlock the ability to change our profession whenever we want. What did this guy want us to go do?
He wanted us to go and kill what he calls a foul demon called the Eater of Souls. And I immediately got excited because I didn't remember that there was an Eater of Souls in this game. I just know the Eater of Souls from Guild Wars 2. So of course I went to the wiki and found out that it's a scarab boss, a necromancer scarab boss, and all of a sudden I wasn't as excited anymore.
Yeah, so it's a scarab. He says we have to kill it to free the souls trapped within its belly. So this is like kind of just conceptually interesting. The fight is kind of hard. Yeah,
but it's mainly because of the stupid pop-up army that he hides behind until he finally shows up.
Yeah, and this fight is like for a quest that's just out in the open world. This is super mechanically complex. Like this is something you'd normally see in like a mission or later in like a later campaign like Factions or Nightfall. Up to this point, like I haven't seen any fights that actually have this many like contingency triggers.
Yeah.
So you see him in the distance and you run up to him and he immediately disappears.
Yes.
And as you get closer to the spot, you're like, where the hell, what the... A bunch of scarabs pop up and you're like, okay, I kill the scarabs, see what happens next, right? At this point, I'm like, is it bugged? I'm immediately like, is this a bug?
Right.
Yeah, and so you kill the scarabs and more scarabs pop up.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh...
It was at this point that my party, which I believe at this point I was not bringing Lena, so things started to get overwhelming. Alicia couldn't come up or keep up, and I had several of my henchmen down at once. I had to pop a couple of scrolls of resurrection so that I wouldn't have to wipe. Yeah,
no, this is a tough fight because it's not just one or two of these scarab spawns; it's like 3 or 4. That spawn over and over again, and they spawn immediately after you've killed the last scarab, so you don't have time to like heal up or refresh your energy. And then the boss will spawn in the middle of like the last spawn. And you have to deal with that as well. Mm-hmm. It's pretty difficult and it's pretty intricate. I have in my notes, this is a great fight. Whoever designed this was actually trying.
Yeah.
Because like most of the boss fights in this game are just like, oh, there's an enemy with more health that has a colorful aura around it, but it's the same thing as the other ones, more or less. Even in the missions, there's not really anything this interesting. So I thought it was really cool that this is just like hanging out in one of the little profession quests, this like fight that somebody clearly put some time and effort into making intricate. Now you also fought Kepket this episode.
I did.
Who was worse, the Eater of Souls or Kepket?
The Eater of Souls.
Yeah, the Eater of Souls is even harder than Kepket. Because Kepket, she's got like a similar thing going on. She's a scarab, and she's just got a shitload of scarabs with her. So you thought the Eater of Souls was the harder fight?
Yeah, yeah, and it's mainly because the little jade scarabs are all necros as well, and she will just put conditions on you. Conditions,
hexes, your whole health bar goes green or purple, and everyone's health is degenerating at an alarming rate, and it's scary.
Yeah. Yep.
Makes you start sweating. Makes you start making mistakes. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
So
when you see Alicia dying, you're like, damn it all. Can you just stay up? And does anyone have a res sig that's not blown because they brought her up already?
Yeah, exactly. You're like we're only two pop-up spawns into this 5 pop-up spawn fight. Yeah. Elisa, you cannot be going down this early.
Yeah.
You gotta get up off the ground. So yeah, I definitely we had people dying left and right. I did have Lena and Alicia in my party, so I was Lena and Alicia both have a rechargeable resurrection skill.
Yes.
So I was kind of able to keep the reses flowing throughout the fight, and I didn't have to wipe.
That's good.
But yeah, if I had only had the one monk, we definitely would have wiped. So yeah, that's a really cool quest. I really like that quest because the fight was actually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And those are kind of the two that take place in Diviner's Ascent. None of the profession quests take place in the Salt Flats. And the reason I know this is because I thought this quest took place in the Salt Flats. So I did not do it at the same time that I did the Mesmer's Path. So I had to come back and clear out all the same mobs again so I could do this quest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. Now, there's a few more of these profession quests. Why don't you tell me what happened with the Warrior's Path?
So the Warrior's Path, which is somewhere around here. Where'd it go? Here it is. So you have to talk to a guy called Agastos the Brave in Destiny's Gorge. And he tells you that Balthazar would tell you there is no greater hero than a warrior. Because, he's like, warriors feared by all who face him. A warrior doesn't need to hide behind prayers or trickery. A warrior thrusts his own strength and skill, or trusts his own strength and skills. And he wants you to go and find the Orshad chieftain, who is a centaur out in the Scar. And I think this is the one where I was having a bad time because of Alicia, and I ended up going to get Lena, and we were still not having a great time afterwards.
So this one's hard too.
Yeah, this one is kind of hard. Once you find your way, because they're basically in like one of these like little oasis areas in the desert out in the Scar area, and it's just there's all type of Losaru patrols. So you've got to kind of manage the patrols so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know the area you're talking about because I saw it while I was going down to Thirsty River, and yeah, it's kind of heavy with the mob patrols. You have to pull and try to make sure you don't double aggro and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's really the getting through the patrols are the real issue. I think I felt so long as you could, manage the patrols. Orshad himself is pretty easy to just nuke down.
Right, and does he have any interesting mechanics like the Eater of Souls, or is he just a guy?
No, he's just a guy.
Yeah,
He's just a horsey man. And it's got some warrior skills, but yeah, no. Yeah. I have a lot of condition damage, so I was able to kind of just take him out.
Yeah, that health degen must be really nice for just single enemies. Mm-hmm. Because bosses have like a 3-pip health regeneration by default, so having some degeneration to counter that is really great.
Yeah.
And I don't think warriors can remove any of their own conditions in Guild Wars 1. I think you have to second profession for that. Which, we know from Jungle Trolls, some enemies do have second professions, but most of them don't.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So you were able to grab that, and now you have the option to change your second profession to warrior if you so choose.
Yeah. If I so choose, yes.
Gotcha. I did the Elementalist path, which you wouldn't have had access to.
Yeah. What was that like?
This is from a guy in Heroes Audience named Sembrian. Okay. I think it's Cambrian. This one's got some lore. So Cambrian says, long ago, these lands were ruled by, quote, Lord Kree, who had a rune inscribed beast army. That is the terminology he uses.
Oh, wow.
A rune inscribed beast army. Yeah, kind of cool shit. I don't know, I don't know the full extent of what this means, but I'm like, that sounds badass. And he says the progeny, quote, of this army still bears the mark, and he wants us to go out and... So there's, like, descendants of this, like, roided up, enchanted out beast army just running around in the desert.
Right.
So I need to go kill a Kree Minotaur and bring back a hide. It was on my way to find the Kree Minotaur that I met Mr. Koodle Sizzlehorn.
Right. Who is himself a Minotaur.
Yes, fantastic guy. Necro-Minotaur, so much easier to kill than the regular Minotaurs, because the regular Minotaurs block and Koodle does not. And he also has way less armor. So Koodle Sizzlehorn is, to date, my favorite Minotaur I've ever met. Fun fact. Once I kill the Kree Minotaur, and it's just a dude running around, he's super easy to kill, and I bring the hide back to Cambrian, he says there's a pattern on the Kree hide, but he will need more time to decipher it. The classic Guild Wars 1 quest ending.
Yeah.
Like, whenever we have these quests that are like, hey, cool lore, go bring me a thing so I can figure out more about it, and then you bring it to them and they're like, I'll take a look, put it on my desk.
Yeah.
So this is like becoming a Guild Wars 1 like classic trend of quest design, is to promise further follow-up and then not deliver on it at all. Because it happened with that. We've gone over it a few times, but it happened with that quest in Ascalon where the guy was going to do a ritual to cleanse all the ghosts, and we brought him the ritual materials, and he was like, cool, I'll do that. And then we never heard anything more. Happened with my all-time favorite Eldritch Sextants. It happened in the Gates of Kryta mission with that Orion text that was super hard to get and almost cost us the mission. So yeah, this is like a trend in Guild Wars 1 that's starting to not so much be infuriating as just amusing.
Yeah.
So I do have the option for Elementalist now. I shan't be changing to Elementalist. I don't know what you would do with Warrior Elementalist, but I'm sure that if you guys know any Warrior Elementalist builds, hit me up. But
I think I tried it out once back in when I was goofing around days, and I think I just equipped some fire skills just for giggles.
Right, like your boy's only got 20 energy with 2 pip energy regeneration. You know, I can't. Hey, that could be a case for Warrior's Endurance, a skill I poo-pooed on last episode. That just gives you 3 energy per attack. Slot Warrior Elementalist, slot Obsidian Flesh on your bar, right? Start building up energy and become an unkillable tank. I don't know. I'd rather just use Defy Pain and Endure Pain, because that's more fun and less complicated. But I think the last one we have to talk about is the Necromancer's path.
Yes.
Because neither of us could do the Ranger's path.
No.
So realistically, between the two of us, we've only done 5 out of 6 of these paths.
Yes.
If I had planned this series better, I would have had us be something different than both Rangers, but I didn't. So it shall remain a mystery. I guess I could just change my second profession and go do it, but I didn't think to do that, and I don't think you did either. Oh wait, but you wouldn't be able to because you're primary ranger.
Right, I am primary ranger.
So this was all on me, and I've failed you guys. I'll do it and report back next episode. We'll see. Okay. We'll see if I actually do that. So this is from this is also in Heroes audience from Zrathakor.
Zrathakor, yes, it was a great name.
It sounds like a comic book villain.
Well, yeah, which is it. But what I'm saying is, it's a great necromancer name.
What it is, and what did you think of what she had to say?
So she tells us that essentially there are no such thing as bad things with necromancers are not evil, because darkness is not an evil thing. Glint invites you to cast your illusions of this world and judge things truly as they are, which is a really interesting concept, I found. So she's trying to like get you away from this idea of this binary idea of good and evil, and just to judge essentially what right and wrong.
She's heard that we refuse to take Claude along with us in our party.
I guess, yeah.
She's heard through the grapevine that Claude has just been stuck at the henchman outpost.
Yeah.
Claude complained to her. Right? They were having a necromancer chit-chat, and he was like, they never take me along. Don't know what it is. Do you think they think I'm evil because I'm a necromancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, she thinks that necromancers are not inherently evil. And to prove this, she's like, go do this horrific evil task to prove that necromancers aren't evil.
Right. We've got to go and slay the sacred griffin of Amnoon, which was a creature that was once worshipped by the Elonians, by the people of the desert.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
She's like, go kill this. It's literally called the Sacred Griffin of Amnoon.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good guy to me. I don't know. It's hostile when I meet it, so who knows?
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like we're doing a good thing here.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's funny because her premise, or her, I guess, parting shot is all, this will show me that you're not deceived by the gilded trappings of false sanctity that beguiles so many. And I'm like, alrighty then.
Whoever wrote that, like, that's like the sentence of their career.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like they came up with that sentence and they were like, that's it, that's the one, right there. What sentence craft? Yes. But I found the fight with the Desert Griffin. Did we talk about Desert Griffins in the last episode?
No, I think we forgot to.
Did we forget to? Guys, there's big old griffins in the desert, and spoiler alert, they're called Desert Griffins. Creatively named, I know. Yeah. And I think they have the Griffin Sweep attack skill.
Yeah.
Which is a good little bit of flavor. It'd be because, like, if they didn't have it, people would be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So yeah, ArenaNet was like, "Let's nip that in the bud right now. Let's give them Griffin Sweep."
Yeah.
I don't know what Griffin Sweep does, but I don't run it, so it must be bad. Or I don't have it.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have any trouble taking down the Sacred Griffin of Amnoon.
No.
And
pretty easy.
And who spawns right near the Sacred Griffin of Amnoon?
So Kefket Marrowfeast, the queen of the scarabs, as what was his name, Arik, the scarab hunter, told us.
Did you pull that from memory?
Yes.
Wow. That was like 2 episodes ago.
Sometimes my brain works. But yeah, so I was like, oh shit, there's Kefket. Well, Aaron said that Kefket's kind of a badass and that I wasn't going to be able to kill it with henchmen. I'm going to try.
How was it?
It wasn't bad. I tried to, because I saw the big old army of scarabs that were around Kefket.
There's there's like 15 of them.
There's a lot of them. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to pull and flag my people over here and see if we can just do it, whittle it down. And we did it. Kefket did actually come over to try and heal at some point, and we had to take him down because monk. So we ended up killing Kefket before we finished clearing out the crew, but we killed them all. And Kefket did not drop a single thing for me. Not gold, not a cool, what was it? The staff that you said that is the thing that it drops?
Yeah, Kefket's refuge.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah, I was...
Not even like a carapace or something.
Damn, no carapace.
Or a mandible or nothing. Zilch. And I was like, well.
You couldn't even go and desecrate her corpse to yank out her mandible.
No, I went and danced on it. So you have footage of that.
Oh, perfect. I'm gonna make sure I work that in. Yeah, we can't miss the Kepket grave desecration.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember this being really hard because I would do it for the Zacian quest in hard mode. But I don't think I ever realized you could pull. I think I was just charged in. Pulling probably makes this a lot easier.
Pulling is the name of the game when you're a ranger and have henchmen.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah, like you're a bow wielding character, right?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
So that's I did not fight Kepket because I'm on a warrior, and I was like, I don't have it in me.
Yeah.
I think I'd already done the Eater of Souls at this point, and I was like, I'm not doing that again. When you get back to Zrathakor, she says that she heard the death cry of the griffin.
Yes. I was like, oh my gosh.
And I'm like, and you're not evil again?
I know.
This is like nothing you're saying to me right now is reinforcing the kind of moral lesson that you're trying to teach. Like this doesn't work. Yeah, I have in my notes, this quest does not do much to dispel the notion that necromancers are evil.
Yeah.
I don't think necromancers are evil for what it's worth, but this quest ain't it.
No.
But I can be a W/N now.
You can.
In my very first character I ever made in Guild Wars, I was a warrior necromancer because I didn't really understand that was not a good idea.
I mean, it's trial and error.
I was like, oh, these buttons have skulls on them. I'm going to be this one.
Yeah, there you go.
And that was kind of, and I played through like the whole game like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I was using stuff like Life Siphon. Like, it was really bad. 2006 was a crazy time to be playing Guild Wars. You didn't have nearly as much of the meta knowledge as we have now.
Sure.
And then I think after that, we've got 2 kind of miscellaneous quests.
Yes.
And are these ascension gated as well?
I thought they were.
Yeah, I'm not sure because neither of them really go anywhere.
No.
Yeah,
I remember because I had unlocked Seeker's Passage before we did 2 of the Ascension trials, and I don't think I may not have looked to see if the NPC Tirza, who's named after a former ArenaNet dev, one of
the map artists, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what she did. Yeah, Tirza. I think Tirza was also involved with like the raid maps. I think she was on the raid teams, but I could be wrong. And Guild Wars too. But yeah, she's a wonderful artist. But anyways, yeah. So I don't think I actually ran out to see if she had a quest. I think I just unlocked the thing and was like, great.
Just in and out.
Yeah. So I mean, it could well be that this was available to run. And I just didn't do it.
I don't think it was, because I think I had the same experience, but I did like glance around for quests, and I didn't see any. So what did Tirza ask you to do?
Tirza wants us to go and find the ghost of her beloved.
Yes.
Because she died. And she was supposed to meet him out in the Salt Flats near one of those curious teleportation pads. So I was like, oh, so those have been around for a while. Okay, great. And she died before she could get there. And she's, I guess, haunted by the thought that his ghost is wondering what happened to her.
Yeah.
So she wants you to go out and find him.
And the Salt Flats, I think I already talked about this in like our first desert episode. Fuck the Salt Flats. Okay? This area is a living nightmare. There's Hydra patrols going all around. Yes. They're just going to run into you while you're fighting 12 Storm Riders or whatever the hell they're called. Mm-hmm. And then there's just pop-up spawns of Devourers and Scarabs every 2 feet. It's a massive slog to get through. Like, there's this field full of like 20 of these storm wiggly tentacle dudes, right? And
yes,
I'm
the
like,
Stormkin.
yeah, Stormkin, that's the term. I was like, I know it's not Rider, because those are the ones from Ascalon. The Stormkin, they're cousin to the Storm.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been like, oh, surely I can get through with just fighting like 5 or 6 of them, right? No, you will have to fight all 20 of them as they come on, like 1 or 2 at a time, as they drift into your aggro bubble. So yeah, this I did not enjoy doing this.
It was a pain.
Yeah, and furthermore, I do not understand how ghosts work in Guild Wars. Because what does this... so you find... I don't even know... Chabar. Find Chabar, which is a very Elonian name, funny enough.
Right.
Standing next to one of these portals. And what does he have for us?
And so he's surprised that Tirza's ghost is the one that sent you. And he has been waiting for her by the teleportation pad. All this time, because he thought she would surely show up, but no. So he is relieved that he knows what her fate is, and then he asks you to take the silver ring that he was going to use to propose to her on that day. Even though, she can't use it because they're dead, but at least. They will have known that they would have been betrothed, and it's a bit of a comfort. So yeah.
And I have so many questions. So clearly ghosts, because you have the ghostly hero coming along with you in the missions. Yeah. He can like swing his sword through something and it hurts them, right? So clearly ghosts can affect the material world in some way. Can they hold physical objects? Like, how does he? Has he been holding this ring? How does he give it to us? And then how do we give it to her?
This is the thing that we've been wondering about with the craftsmen, like the Senat Sen that and the other craftsmen that we've encountered, the collectors. It's like you've got a whole inventory of wares. Where are you keeping this? And how are we giving you money?
Yeah, I'm so concerned because the next quest involves us giving a material object to a ghost as well. Mm-hmm. And I can buy that a little more because we don't take it from a ghost to give to another ghost. We just find it. But this whole ghost thing of like, I have items is so bizarre. Also, this ring has a unique inventory icon that I don't think is anywhere else in the game.
Does it really?
Yes.
I didn't actually even pay attention.
Yeah, you get an actual ring in your inventory.
It is very sparkly.
And I wonder if the dev that the quest is named after made the inventory icon. I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to find out. That if I ever get to ask an ArenaNet dev from this time period a question.
Yes. Here's a Bauer. Did you design this?
Yeah, I'm asking them if that unique ass ring model was crafted by the developer the quest is named after.
Yeah.
So another thing I thought was funny about this quest is the name of the quest spoils the outcome.
Yeah.
Because the revelation is that, he was going to propose to you, so now it's a belated betrothal, right? But the quest is named that, so kind of throws a wrench in the reveal, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. But he's touched that she sent you, and then she's touched that he gave you the ring for her.
Yes, no, they're both happy with
that he was waiting. So it's a bittersweet quest. It really is. It's
And I'm so curious about more questions about ghosts. Clearly they can move, right? The ghostly hero can come along with us. Now maybe there's like different levels of ghostly power, right? Maybe the ghostly hero, since he's the shit, can like move around and fight things. Maybe if you're just an average like Enel Phipps, right? You just like stuck. Yeah, you just like you stand in one spot for eternity.
Well, and if you think about it, like ghosts being rooted to a spot that was either important because of that's where they were killed or whatever. Like I can buy it because the ghostly hero who seemed to like trek all over the Elonian continent in his badassery. So maybe. That's my headcanon. That's my retcon for this.
Right. Yeah, and I think it also. So I'm wondering if there's a dependence on how you die. Because in Guild Wars 2, there's a cataclysmic event called the Faux Fire, which turns a bunch of people into ghosts. These ghosts can run around and talk to you and fight and all that stuff. And I think I'm just being pedantic. I think the developers did not. They're like, listen, bro, it's not that deep.
You're like, video game, just get over it.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like, we do get all this lore background info from some characters about how like they unlocked these secrets of mass destruction and wiped themselves out. And I'm wondering if it maybe not was the exact same deal as the Faux Fire, but was a similar kind of ritual and result as the Faux Fire.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about the Faux Fire when we read Ghosts of Ascalon.
Yes.
And then a lot more in Guild Wars 2.
Yes.
But yeah, just food for thought. How the fuck do ghosts work? And I think the answer is it depends entirely on the magic that makes you into one.
Right.
So yeah, cool, unique ring model, bittersweet quest. Saying fun time doesn't seem to cut it here. Bleak time. Bleak time. And then the last quest that we're able to do, and we have to complete the plus 15 attribute quest chain in order to be able to do this, right?
Yes.
Why?
No fucking reason at all. There's literally no like lore tie between them, other than you must do this before that.
Yeah.
Because while we were talking, I started poking around the wiki to find out about Yanel Brune, or whatever his name is, that we both encountered during the Forgotten Wisdom quest. And apparently there was an ancient weapon thing that we were supposed to bring along that they never implemented into the game. So I'm wondering if there was something that didn't get implemented for the misplaced sword one as well.
You just set the alarm bells off in my head. The ancient weapon.
Yes.
This is a thing you can go find.
Yes.
I don't know if there's an actual... So, like, I'm thinking back to when I watched the Wooden Potatoes series on Guild Wars 1. I'm pretty sure you can go out and find the ancient weapon. It's like one of those, like, you know, the splinter mines. It's like a yellow interactable. I don't know if there is a quest related. Like, I don't know if they actually programmed a quest. But this is an object in the world.
I think they just didn't. They didn't, for whatever reason, they just didn't implement the. They ran out of time. Is basically what the wiki says. Yeah,
I think there's more. Like, there's a lot more to this than they ended up being able to put into the game. But my theory is like Faux Fire type of deal. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But yeah, so there's clearly supposed to be more to this. But what they should have done is ungated this quest. Based on the fact that they couldn't complete all the materials, because all you do in this quest is go find this guy's sword and bring it back to him.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing else to it. It is funny that Yort the Bronze exclusively talks in the third person.
It's hilarious.
He refers to himself as Yort.
He does.
Yeah, it's great. But like my literal notes for the quest read: he died and lost his sword. We got to get it back. Neat little oasis. We pick up the sword. Inventory icon is a fiery dragon sword. Yort thanks me for getting the sword. That's the whole quest.
Yes.
And the inventory icon is cool. It's a fiery dragon sword, which you see Prince Rurik and Captain Osric and any of the Ascalon captains kind of wield these. I actually got one as a drop in one of my many, many Dunes of Despair runs, but it was not max damage. But it's a cool sword, and this sword, cool sword looks like I don't think you can wield this sword. I think it's just a quest item.
Yeah, I think it is just a quest item, yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to make this quest sound interesting. It is not interesting, guys.
No, it's just and it's called Ceremonial Family Sword.
Yes, and we bring it back, and he's like, Yort the Bronze thanks you for bringing back Yort the Bronze's sword.
Yes.
I don't know if he actually says that, but that's like the gist of his dialogue.
It's pretty much what he says, yeah. I found it funny that when we accept the quest, we refer to ourselves in the third person. We're like, so-and-so will do it. Miko the Ranger will do it.
Is that really what the dialogue says?
Character name will do it as your acceptance for the quest.
I didn't know that. I didn't notice that. That's very funny.
It is.
I actually like that because there's not a lot, and I actually have a dialogue option, a player dialogue option later in the game that I really liked, and we don't get. There's not a lot going on with the character dialogue options. You usually just press it because it means go to the next thing, right? But if you actually read them, sometimes they're funny.
Yeah, sometimes they're.
Yeah, so we do that quest, and that kind of caps off the desert for us.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Yep, we did the things.
We did, yeah. We've kind of cleared out the desert. We've done... This is our third desert episode, I want to say.
Yeah, I think... Yep.
I think the Maguma Jungle was a 3-parter. Kryta might have been a 4-parter. I think it was a 3 or 4. And then the desert's a 3-parter. So the areas are getting, like, more dense with... things, maybe not so much things to do, but with things to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we skimmed Ascalon quite a bit.
We did, yeah.
Because Ascalon's by far the area with the most quests in the game, like by a country mile. But we did like 10 quests in one episode, and we're like, yeah, we did this, and this. It was kind of fun. I don't know, right? Because there just wasn't that much intricacy going on with the material, whereas now that we're pretty far into the game, we're like lore dumping and theory crafting, and it's great. So yeah, dense stuff, dense content here in the Crystal Desert. And to cap off the desert and send us to the next kind of location on our Tyrian Grand Tour is the Dragon's Lair mission.
Yes.
Now
we get to go and meet. Well, we have to go and prove ourselves yet again to the dragon.
We do.
Glint.
Yes, and this dragon, of course, was mentioned to us in the Forgotten Ones quest. He was the Silas or Saseth, whatever, mentioned the crystal dragon Glint. And this is indeed the titular dragon for the Dragon's Lair mission. Now, when I spawn into this, I don't know that because I haven't done that quest yet.
Nope.
So I immediately go talk to the podium master, who is just named Forgotten Gatekeeper.
Yes. And I forgot that the podium guy for this mission was a Forgotten. Ironically.
Yeah. Forgotten.
Yes.
So our first dialogue option that we can ask this guy is the dialogue option I was just talking about that I really liked, because you spawn into a mission and oftentimes there's very little context and you need to go talk to the podium guy if you want to know the story reason you're here and what you're going to do. And the first thing we can ask this guy is, quote, "Tell me what I am doing here."
Yes. I think what's funny is that it tells you, "Do not fear me, human. I will bring you no harm here on the threshold of the Dragon's Lair." So it's like, obviously the Forgotten know that we're afraid of them.
Yes.
Snaky people be snaky. Yeah.
Because this is the first friendly one we meet
and the fact that we just, murderfied all of their friends in like 3 Ascension trials, you'd think that they'd be a little pissed off.
Oh, we've got quite the trail of serpentine bodies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but so the fact that they're not being angry at us. They're not angry at us.
They're not overtly hostile to us at every turn now, except for when we enter the mission, which we go right back to butchering Forgotten.
We do, yeah.
So he describes the mission as a test. People who are worthy, if they get through it, that they can get to meet Glint. I don't think Glint is treating the Forgotten very well.
No,
because they work for her, right? She's like their HR coordinator, and. And she just like, yeah, okay, guard my lair to the death. And if someone manages to kill all of you, then they get the privilege of speaking with me. That sounds like a horrible deal. It's a raw deal.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's essentially what he explains the mission as, is He says the great dragon Glint eagerly awaits our presence. He describes her as an oracle.
Yes.
Now that, and we've had this, guys, we've had this weird voice prophesizing to us in some.
And our boy Vizier Kilbron told us to go and seek the prophet.
He did, yeah. God, I forgot about that guy. He might be a forgotten for me at this point.
Right.
Yeah, he says now that we're ascended, we can speak with her. Her defenses are tests to see who is worthy of speaking with her. Defenses. Yeah, defenses here meaning minions, disposable minions.
Mm-hmm.
Glint actually lives in a pocket dimension, is how he describes it.
Yeah.
That resides within a single grain of crystalline sand. But luckily, there's a portal to it right behind me. Thank goodness. What the hell else would we do?
Right.
I just think it's really funny that the game up to this point, it's finally just ask the podium guy what the fuck you're doing here. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what you want. What do you want?
Yeah.
You gonna do the mission or not?
Right.
So yeah, he says if we survive the tests inside, then we'll get to meet the great dragon Glint. We don't really know why we need to meet Glint, but our presence has been requested. Our presence has both been requested, but we also need to apply. Right.
Apply for the job.
Yeah, an application has been requested, not necessarily our presence. She's like, I only want you if you're worthy. So we do get to hop in.
We just ascended, aren't we?
That's what I thought.
Worthy?
That's what I thought. We have been
ourselves of impurities, we did all the things. The gods granted us their favor, but now we've got to prove ourselves to you.
The five at this point, I think, gods have literally looked directly at me and said, nice. But I'm not good enough for Glint, right? Who is only a dragon. I think Glint's got a rather high opinion of herself.
Just a little.
That being said, I think this is my favorite mission in the game.
Yeah, it is a fun one.
This one's really good. It's just challenging enough, but you can get through it. And then the bonus is very challenging, but you can get through it. It rides that line of fun and challenging in a very pleasant way. And even though there's a lot going on with it, it's not actually that long.
No. And what helps to make this more of a pleasant experience after having been through the ascension trials is that our party size has increased, Aaron. What are we up to?
Oh, we're up to 8.
We have reached the pinnacle of the 8 party size.
Yes, this is the standard end game party size for the rest of Guild Wars. The only time we get more is in the elite missions in factions, but they don't continue that for the elite missions in Nightfall, so we don't really talk about those. 8 is the max for all intents and purposes. This allows us to take every henchman except Claude, which is great.
Except Claude, that's correct.
Yeah.
He is still on the bench.
Yeah, there are 9 henchman options, and Claude is not it. So, all the henchmen that we've talked about in the past, I've got them all now. They're just all with me, and Claude can hang out with Kor's Ratha, or whatever the hell that person's name was.
Yeah, the Forgotten Gatekeeper. You can go hang out with him for a little while. In this mission outpost, yeah.
Yeah.
What did we discover about our 8 party? Our 7 party members, they're now what level?
They're all level 20.
That's right. That means they've got full builds.
Yes, and that means... so we were talking on the last episode about how the wiki had a confusing line that maybe indicated in normal mode henchmen do not get elite skills. We can confirm this is not the case.
Correct.
We both paid attention to what skills specifically Alicia, the healer henchman, was using, and we saw her fire off the elite skill Word of Healing several times.
Yes. This made me very happy to know that she actually grew up and has this skill.
It's like they ascended as well, right?
That's right.
Augury Rock is a solo mission, but the henchmen appear to have ascended as well, because
Yes.
Alicia's got her word of healing. The other henchmen are going to have some elites themselves. Some of them are good, some of them are not. I think Stefan has Skullcrack, which is... No, Stefan has Charge, and I think Little Tom has Skullcrack. Okay. I'll check. Just because I said that, someone's going to get me. No, nobody has Skullcrack. I think they used to, but I think they updated the game to where they don't anymore. Because Little Tom has Cleave, which is a good skill. Yeah, I like Cleave. It's just a 4 adrenaline axe attack, which means you can charge it up over and over again. Stefan does have Skullcrack. So Stefan is the Skullcrack minion. Skullcrack kind of sucks. The reason for that is because... So it's an interrupt, and it's an adrenaline-based interrupt, and it dazes if you interrupt a spell. But it costs 9 adrenaline, and that takes forever to charge up. So I don't know how good that is.
Right.
But, and he does not have a double adrenaline skill on his bar either. So it's going to take... The fight is over before Stefan has charged up Skullcrack, essentially.
Right. Poor guy.
Yeah, so Stefan, I don't know how much he's going to be able to use that, but Little Tom's going to be able to use Cleave all the time because it only costs 4 adrenaline, so it's going to be charged like crazy. And, 8 party, level 20 henchmen. This is the first properly endgame mission.
Yes.
There are 7 missions with level 20 henchmen and 8-person party. This is the first of them. So after this, we'll have 6 missions left and we'll be done with the game. And this mission's really fun, I thought.
It is a fun mission. You've got to deal with an environmental debuffs. In most except for one, I believe, in the facet when you're fighting the facet of chaos, there's no room environment effect. But the rest of them have some environmental effects that kind of make things, they try to spice it up a little bit. But with the party size and being able to without penalty, it's not really too much of an issue.
Yeah, there's environmental effects that are applied to you directly in some of them, and then some of them have just a thing going on with the level design. So the Facet of Chaos level, which is level 3, it has some enemies behind walls that are inaccessible. So I think that's kind of the gimmick for that one, is you kind of just have to figure out how to navigate that. I just flagged my henchman past them.
Yeah.
And then the 5th area, the elemental one, the Facet of Elements. There's like fields on the ground that like do spells.
Yeah.
So one of them was like Eruption, one of them was like Firestorm. Those are pretty easy to avoid. Just don't fight in those. Like, this is not rocket science. And then in the 6th area, you just get knocked down like every 4 seconds.
Yeah, and I felt like that. The knockdown, because it lasts for 5 seconds.
It's the longest knockdown ever.
Oh my gosh, it's the longest knockdown in the game. It was really annoying. And I've got no stability skills on me, because they come later.
Yeah, I do have access to Balanced Stance, but it's a tactics skill, so I couldn't be bothered to reformat my entire build. I just ate the knockdown.
Yeah, same.
I do think the most difficult effect to deal with is the health degeneration in the first room. So the first level, there's 6 levels. You have to fight a facet of Glint to pass to the next level. Once you get past, each facet corresponds with a profession. So you got to fight the monk one and the necro one, and so on and so forth, right? Kind of mirrors the profession quest we just did.
Yeah, and I was again conflating the games from the Guild Wars franchise, and when I read, oh right, the facets, I gotta fight the facets, I was then surprised that in this game, because again I didn't remember, the facets are actually like echoes of Glint. They're little dragons, or dragon ghosties. Yeah,
because we will be returning to the Glint's Lair in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, and the facets have different models.
Different models, way different combat mechanics since it's a different game. So that'll be fun to compare and contrast. All the facets are actually like, I was scared. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a nightmare. All of the group sizes are pretty manageable. And the facets are not that hard. You can kill them very quickly. They all have really low armor rating. So having 3 warriors in my party that do like heavy physical damage to low armored targets, I was able to nuke these guys down pretty quick.
So you had mentioned that you went out and got yourself an elite skill. I did as well.
Oh, okay. Did you capture it in this mission?
I did. I got Melandra's Resilience, which helps you
it's health regen
if you are affected by a hex or a condition.
Yeah, and it's like the more hexes and conditions you're affected by, the more regen you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically just canceling out any health degeneration effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good skill.
And it's got a very short recharge, and low energy cost. So I was like,
is it just 5 energy?
It's just 5, yeah. So until I can get barrage, I can rock this for a little while.
Honestly, that wouldn't be a bad option if you wanted to run a tankier build on like a warrior. It'd be a good warrior skill since it's only 5 energy. Yeah. That's a nice skill. It's going to take a lot of pressure off your monks. And when you get barrage, if you find yourself in a mission where like the pressure is a bigger issue than your DPS, you might swap back to it even.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool skill. I like that skill. Is that wilderness survival?
It is. Oh god. Yes, it is wilderness survival. Yep.
Yeah, I seem to back before the meta was established for like Underworld and Fisher of Woe. I seem to remember running a very janky Melandra's Resilience Warrior Ranger tank build for like tank and spank Fisher of Woe.
Nice.
It was super cursed. It didn't work very well, but we got further than I thought we would with it. Good memories of Melandra's Resilience. Yeah, I will talk about my elite skill. You'll see it in the footage. But I'll talk about my elite skill next episode because I technically dipped into our next episode content a little bit to buy the armor set you see me wearing and use the elite skill you see on my bar.
Nice.
And you'll see that in the quest footage. You won't see it in the mission footage because I didn't have it yet in the mission. But yeah, there's 6 areas. I found the first one the hardest. And then the Facet of Elements area was kind of hard just because the crystal enemies, they're elementalists and they do a lot of damage. They're like air and earth elementalists.
Yeah.
They had really crazy skills too, like Crystal Wave. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Apparently that's a prophecy is like earth skill ? And yeah, just like hits everybody in the area for like 1 billion damage. They die really easily though. All the crystal enemies have really low armor rating.
Yeah, it felt like the enemies in this mission were they didn't feel as memorable as some others.
They look cool.
Some others, yeah, they do look cool.
Like there's crystal spiders and crystal guardians. I want to say. Yeah. And they're pretty cool looking. The crystal guardians are like the stone golem skin, but like spiky crystals.
Yes.
And then the crystal spiders are just like Maguma spiders, but like spiky crystals, right?
And the little crystally bushes that are out. I again was conflating games and thinking, oh, I can't touch those. I will get damaged. But no, not in this game.
I thought they would like cripple or something, but they don't. You can run right into them. They're like a.
Yep.
They're like a flat 2D texture that just like follows your field of vision to make it look 3D.
Yeah.
I do have in my notes that the bushes look like Christmas lights.
A tangled up set of Christmas lights. Yeah.
They look like the Christmas lights in the attic before you take them down and untangle them.
Yes. That's very true.
Yeah, so the effects are health degeneration in the first area, slow movement in the second area against the Necro boss, or the Nature boss rather, the Facet of Nature. The slowness just annoyed me because it's annoying. We've got the Facet of Chaos on level 3 that has the weird like enemies locked behind walls that can hit you, but you can't hit them. We have the Facet of Darkness area on the 4th level, and he has energy degeneration. Yeah. I think it's only 1 pip.
It is.
You get taken off. This is not super difficult to deal with. Did you see the corpses of Ascalonian warriors in here?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there's dead Ascalonian warriors in there.
Wow. I didn't see those at all.
Yeah, there's no added context for it. There's just dead Ascalonian warriors on level 4 of Dragon's Lair.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that implies that A, Ascalonian warriors somehow got into Glint's Lair at some point, and B, they made it all the way to level 4.
Well, and this might tie in later on with what she reveals at the end, but I'll come back to that if I could remember. I'll write myself a note.
Yes, because there's a meaty cutscene at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the meatiest cutscene we've gotten in the game so far. And in the fifth level, we've got the Facet of Elements Elementalist boss, and that has the like spell fields that are super easy to avoid. And then the sixth area, final area, Facet of Strength Warrior boss, which it's funny that it is named the Facet of Strength because it is a tactics warrior.
It was I want to say it was the one that went down the fastest.
Yeah, it has a skill. Easiest. Well, because you only have the only warriors you're taking are Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. What are their names?
Stefan and Little Tom.
Yeah, Thing 1 and Thing 2 are the only warriors that you've got on your team. And he has a skill called Gladiator's Defense, which just gives you a 75% chance to block and hits him with damage every time an attack is blocked. I used to use this skill to farm stone elementals in Old Ascalon in hard mode. Very effective farming build, not very effective money generation.
Right.
Spoiler alert, they don't really drop anything good. But I don't need that skill because I'm a strength warrior, so I did not capture it. But I'm thinking of doing some skill capturing just to kind of prep some elites for when we start to get heroes down the road. Because nothing feels better than slapping Word of Healing on Dunkoro when you're level 6.
Yep.
So I'll probably cap some stuff when we get to Ring of Fire and when we get to Southern Shiver Peaks. But yeah, I found all the facets pretty easy. None of the combat was too hard. And the main reason the combat isn't very hard is the 8-person party.
Yes.
I think all the mob sizes were still like 6-party mob sizes that they
they were very manageable. And you know, if you got yourself a little overwhelmed because of a patrol coming back, it's still because of the party size, it just not a big deal at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why they give you the party size for this mission, is to kind of counterbalance the area effects. Because those are supposed to be where the difficulty's at. I only find the ones that apply a debuff to you directly to be particularly difficult, like the health degen, the slowness, the energy degeneration. Those were a lot harder than just the things that are happening in the world.
Yes.
Though the knockdown on the warrior level was really annoying.
It was annoying.
But just annoying, not game breaking.
Correct.
So once we kill the strength facet, there's a portal. And we run through it. And what happens?
And then we get to see Glint. And she's just hanging out like a cat laying down and waiting for you. And she welcomes you in, essentially, and tells you she's been waiting for you and tells you all sorts of... This is like the big lore dump. This is the big reveal. So we find out a couple of things. Creepy voice that we hear at the end of the Aurora Glade mission and at the end of the Augury Rock mission, it belongs to Glint.
Yes. And
she tells you that she foresaw the Flame Seeker prophecies. Remember, we heard, what was his name? The Screamer guy?
Myrick the Screamer. Known NPC, Myrick the Screamer.
Myrick the Shouter, or whatever his name is, she foresaw the Flame Seeker prophecies like 800 years ago.
And she says in this mission 800 years ago, she made the Flame Seeker prophecies.
And she tells us that now that you've ascended and awakened the gift of true sight that lay dormant in you, the moment has finally come for her prophecies to become reality, basically. She says you're the chosen that she has been waiting for. And I'm like, dang, you've been waiting 800 years for us? Okay.
Yeah, and if you listen to what Myrick the Shouter says in Ascalon, you guys can go all the way back to episode like 2 or 3 if you want to find that out. We are the chosen referred to in the prophecy. The prophecy says something about meeting demise at the hands of the chosen. Yes. And that's us. What does she tell us next? She
says that while we've been in the desert, that the rest of the world has changed.
And we're very used to this happening by now.
Right.
Like,
right, of course.
The plot of the game happening while we're off doing whatever the hell.
Yeah. And it's like the world has changed for us a lot. Our homeland was destroyed, then we teamed up with the White Mantle, then they turned out that we were teaming up with the wrong ones. So she tells us she's going to show us. So she shows us a vision. And she shows us that the White Mantle have essentially gained in strength. And that the unseen gods are not gods at all, but they're a what she calls a terrible and fearful race of spellcasters, and they are the Mursat.
Mursaat. They got the double A's in there. Are they relatives of Aaron? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the Mursat are the big bad guys. They're big yellow dudes.
Yes, and they float, and they've got tentacles.
They got their backs. Tendrils coming off their backs, and they got like bird feet, like clawed bird feet. They're really float, grotesque basically. Looking.
Yeah, but they float. They don't walk, so they're just And it's like, well, where did these guys come from? And she says that she's foreseen that the Mursat are going to meet their demise at the hands of the Chosen, aka us, and in doing so, their strangleholds over Kryta are going to be broken.
And this prophecy, specifically the line about the Mursat meeting their demise at the hands of the Chosen, is why the Mursat have the White Mantle enacting this scheme of butchering anyone the Eye of Chanthir dictates they butcher. Because they're assuming that any one of them who have the gift of true sight, which we also have, is going to be considered a candidate for being who wipes out the Mursat.
Right. So while they've been able to kill all the other Chosen, we were able to get away. And because of that, our friends are suffering. And they're about to pay the price. And if we don't hurry, they're going to be sacrificed to the Bloodstones as well.
Yeah, because at the Sanctum K mission, we found out that Avenia and Saedra had been captured by the White Mantle. And they've got them...
Marcus is, in league with the White Mantle.
Yes, Marcus is the traitor that on the Inner Council that we were trying to figure out we were trying to figure out the identity of throughout our Maguma, our stay, for want of a better word, in the Maguma jungle. God, I hope we never go back. And then they've got them interned at prison camps in the southern Shiver Peaks now.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to head over there and save them. They plan on killing Avenia on the Bloodstone so that resurrection is not possible.
Right.
We talked a little bit about Bloodstones during the Bloodstone Fen mission because we go to one of them there.
Right.
And when we're fighting there, you have a debuff on you while you're standing on a Bloodstone that makes resurrection skills take 4 times longer to charge up or something. And this is in reference to the fact that technically in the lore, if you kill someone on the Bloodstone, they cannot be brought back.
Right.
So they give you a little leeway on it, mechanically, but story-wise, if someone dies on the Bloodstone, it is fucking over.
Yep. They will not be coming back as a ghost or otherwise.
Yes, and she shows us a little bit of what's going on somewhere called the Ring of Fire, also.
Yeah, she says that our destiny, our story doesn't end in the mountains, because basically we've got to go to the southern Shiver Peaks to go and help our friends, but she says our story doesn't end there. It will continue on to the Ring of Fire.
Yep, and she shows us part of the vision is there's a bunch of lava, there's a bunch of floating purple gemstone-looking things. There's some crackling magical electricity throughout all of it.
Yeah, and she says, "Seek the flame, for within it lies the power to destroy both good and evil." And the flame is obviously the Ring of Fire.
Yes, and then my Aaron is scratching his head I guess it was called the Flameseeker Prophecies, wasn't it?
Right.
So we shall now seek the flame, but we shall actually seek the snow first.
We will seek the snow first, because our friends need us. Before she sends us on our way, she tells us that she knows that we probably have a lot of questions, but there are some things that we're on a need-to-know basis still, basically, and we've got to discover some things on our own, on our journey, so...
Yes, and after this cutscene, you'd think it will just spawn us in the next city, as missions are wont to do in Guild Wars. It does not do this.
Nope.
It drops us in her lair. She's standing there. There's a portal we can run through. Your reflex as a gamer is to run through the portal.
Right.
However, learned players, learned sages such as ourselves, will have noticed that we didn't get a bonus objective yet.
We did not get a bonus objective. No.
And there's a pile of eggs labeled Glint's eggs.
Yes, dragon eggs.
Corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, what are these over here? They're
you,
yellow. We can interact with them.
They have a yellow interactable nameplate. Did you click on these?
I did, yeah.
What happened?
Glint got mad.
Did she get mad at you?
Yeah, because, we touched her dragon eggs, and she becomes hostile, and then we have to fight her.
We do, yeah. So, we attacked Glint by stamping all over her dragon eggs. She flies into a rage.
She goes into rage mode, yes.
Yeah, there's like a cool little animation where she's like, rah. And we now have to fight Glint. You start out not aggroed to her.
No.
So you're like across the room, and so you can kind of like figure out how you want to play this.
Right.
Before you decide to engage the level 30 dragon on the other side of the room from you. She is level 30.
Yes.
I had a tough time, but I did manage to get through it on the first try.
Yeah, I had a couple of dead henchmen lying on the floor, but I managed to get through it as well.
Yeah, were the dead henchmen by chance Stefan and Little Tom?
Yes, and Alicia, who didn't die, and Lena were able to resurrect them, and then they would die again. I think Orion also died, ironically.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what Glint's skill layout is, but she absolutely shreds melee attackers. She's got like some sort of long form riposte where like anytime you try to melee attack, you just eat like 100 damage.
Oh man.
Yeah, you do not want to melee this person. So my party with 3 warriors in it had a bad time.
Did your pet die too? Because mine did.
Oh yeah, my pet insta-died, and I just stopped resurrecting them because I didn't want to keep having my skills disabled every time it died.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, guys, when your pet dies, your skills get disabled for 10 seconds. It's a nightmare. But yeah, what ended up happening was we were able to get Glint down low enough to where she starts using her defensive abilities. Crystal Hibernation, it just gives her a shitload of like armor and health regeneration. Dunham is the hero of this fight.
Yes.
Dunham can interrupt this because he's level 20 and he has fucking power block.
Yes.
So Dunham gets off a lucky interrupt, the sweet, sweet boy that he is, and we are able to finish nuking Glint down to 0. Yep. Without him hitting that interrupt, it would have been... I don't know if we would have been able to pull it off, because we just kind of reached a stalemate. If she has that Crystal Hibernation skill up, my DPS cannot damage her faster than she's healing.
Right.
So it was absolutely essential to get an interrupt on it. But luckily, Dunham, who is now officially classified as my boy, made it happen. Right. So I was able to get the mission and bonus.
Nice.
Glint is not canonically dead. The bonus is non-canonical for this mission.
Correct. Yeah, and also if you die, you don't stay dead. She's like, no, your story's not over here. So here she brings you back and sends us on our way if you die in the mission.
Yeah, you can wipe to this, and she will still let you progress to the next area, and you will still get your mission completion credit. Super fascinating bonus, because it's unlike anything else in the game, pretty much. And she's like not mad at you if you wipe. She's just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Don't touch the eggs next time, loser. So I managed to get it done. Miko managed to get it done. We've got mission and bonus. We're back on the mission and bonus train. I don't know how... I don't think any of the future bonuses are that hard, but I have this habit on this show of saying how I think the next episode is going to go, and then it goes the complete opposite way.
Right.
So, we will see how the bonuses continue to play out. Where does this spawn us?
Droknar's Forge.
Yes, we run through the portal in Glint's Lair, and we emerge in Droknar's Forge. There is no portal there's no exit portal in Droknar's Forge.
Mm-mm.
We just appear there in the town square. Droknar's Forge is a hell of an outpost. It is the major city for the southern Shiver Peaks. It is the first place you're able to craft maximum tier armor. It is the first place you are able to... Or it is the place where we're able to get our final plus 15 attribute quest. So yeah, I kind of jumped the gun and did craft some armor, and I did go cap an elite skill that I've been waiting this whole fucking podcast to cap. Talk more about it next episode. Did you just spawn in and log out, or did you craft yourself some armor?
I crafted myself some max armor as well. I'm now rocking the druid armor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like with the wooden shoulder pads and whatnot.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's got arrow, details, feathered part of the arrow.
Yeah, I think cool. I wear the elite version on my ranger on my main account.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a cool armor set. And then when I did, because the armor's kind of expensive to craft, it's 1,500 per piece, or it's 1 platinum per piece. One of those. And a bunch of crafting mats, including, for me, steel ingots, which cost an arm and a leg. But one thing I figured out I can do is that I can sell my crafting materials directly to the crafting material trader, and he will give me a metric fuck ton of money for them. Way more than the merchant will. I had a monstrous claw, just one monstrous claw, which is a rare crafting material, hanging out in my bank. I sold that motherfucker for 1,200 gold.
Dang, very nice.
Yeah, to the rare material trader. And so I came out of that with 13k gold.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was able to buy myself some big boy plate mail armor.
Very cool.
And it's got a big old pig on the front, on the chest piece. There's a pig. It's just like a big picture of a pig. It's fantastic.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I'm a big pig boy running around in the snow. And in the desert, actually, because I got this and then I went back and did the desert quest. So you can see my pigman armor.
That's hilarious.
And that is where we are left off for next episode, where we will start picking up quests in Droknar's Forge and going and trying to find our way to where the next story beat is.
Excellent.
Yep. So we'll be rampaging around the southern Shiver Peaks. We're back to the snow, alpine forests, dwarves, right? The dwarves are back.
Dwarves, yes. Because Droknar's Forge is a dwarven stronghold.
Yes, it is a Deldrimor outpost. I believe Droknar is one of the previous dwarven kings, maybe the first one, something like that.
I think that's about right.
Maybe an NPC will tell us about the lore next episode.
Yes.
We'll find out.
So we'll find out.
Yep, we'll do some quests. We'll take a look at the next mission next episode. Until then, Miko, where can people find you online?
People can find me at Inky Sticks at Twitter, YouTube, places like that.
All right, cool. And guys, I just want to take a minute to recommend that if you're a Guild Wars player and you got friends that play Guild Wars and you're like, damn, my friends would probably like a Guild Wars show to listen to, tell a friend. Tell a friend about Tyria then. Reach out, say, hey, here's a link to episode 1. Don't mind the super loud music that we can't figure out how to fix. And check out episode 1 of Tyria then. They might just like it. So if you've got anyone that you think might be into the show, go ahead and reach out to them. Spread the word. Word of mouth is kind of the bread and butter of what gets this show around. Because we're kind of doing a show about an old game that the algorithm doesn't really care for. So share all that stuff. Retweet us on Twitter. Comment. All that awesome shit. There's like a bell you can press.
Yes.
If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? It's episode 14. Hit the fucking subscribe button.
And remember that all of our social media is actually Tyria Now.
Yes. The channel is Tyria Now. The show is Tyria Then. There is another show called Tyria Now.
Which is ours as well.
Which is an episode archive. If you want to go experience us complain about Guild Wars 2 circa 2019, go listen to that. Until next time, guys, we will see everybody later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.